My father-in-law accused me of stealing and my wife believed him?
You should get out of that family.
Yeah, you should. My 27 female, wife 29 female, and I aren't in a good place. It's not a fun feeling. I feel the context is important here. We're college sweethearts married for 6 years and have a daughter for a female. Our constant hurdle is family. It's like having to validate our relationship. I always thought that my wife was worth it though. I haven't felt for anyone else the way I do about her. By the way, this comes from Throwaway Tsukima Road. And if you want to submit your own stories, go to the r/OK Storytime subreddit. Now, my wife's family is very old school. They're conservatives in their beliefs and values. My father-in-law, 59 male, is treated as the captain and looked to as the head.
Got a little C family over there.
Yarg. My relationship with him was never smooth, not for my lack of trying. Him putting up with me only came after my daughter. I don't believe he's ever thought I was good enough for his daughter. I wasn't his first choice or even in his top 5. I don't share their gated community or their fancy school backgrounds. My father-in-law always had some backhanded remark about my upbringing. During a family gathering at my in-laws last Christmas, my father-in-law's iPad went missing. He blew a fuse and accused me of stealing it. His reasoning was there was a period of time I was alone in the house. I was never actually alone in the house. I was helping my mother-in-law, 58 female, in the kitchen because people were punting back their feet and she was slaving away working for a big family. There was no reasoning with him. He called the police and actually told the officers how a real man would own up when caught, but I was never taught to be a man.
Dang.
Another backhanded remark.
I'm sorry, he called the police?
Yes, on his son-in-law.
Oh my.
I was raised in a household of women. My father-in-law expressed once that only a man can raise a boy into a man. Incorrect. I spoke up for myself during his rantings. The whole situation was humiliating, but I had nothing to hide. The officers had to de-escalate and stood around everyone until everyone went their separate ways. My father-in-law did a smear campaign on social media accusing me of theft and saying how I wasn't family. Some real vicious stuff was said. It impacted my life and I lost a job opportunity because his posts came up in the vetting process.
Oh, because he had posted all like the stuff about theft?
Yeah, and like it's like I guess like make a background check or something.
Yeah, they're like,
posts about OP, and it's like, oh, he's an iPad thief.
Specifically an iPad thief in the local area. Yeah. That sucks.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I feel like that would be a really big conversation with the wife.
Where's the wife?
Yeah, what's she doing? She's like, I don't know. You do kind of have a shifty way about you.
What's our rule, Sophia?
What is it? Stand up for your partners if your family's attacking them.
That is 100%
unless
correct.
they suck, in which case choose a better
Feed them to the wolves.
Yeah.
The company was rebranding and didn't want drama associated. That's why he lost the job. Essentially, I was shunned from the family. There were those who didn't agree with my father-in-law, but they wanted to stay out of it. No one wanted to cross him. I was no longer welcomed on my in-laws' property until I confessed and apologized. Wow. My wife still attending everything without me and took our daughter with her even on New Year's Eve. I wanted to spend it with her and our daughter on New Year's Eve, but she chose to appease her dad and keep tradition. During all of my father-in-law's accusations, the smear campaign, and the shunning, my wife didn't lend me support in any way. She bowed to her dad and would just tell me to apologize. She said that I was being stubborn by refusing. It wasn't about apologizing. My father-in-law wanted me to beg. I am not a prideful person, but I'm not getting on my knees and pleading for forgiveness for something I didn't commit.
Yeah. You don't have anything to apologize for. Did we ever find the iPad?
Where is this iPad?
Where is the iPad?
Please, someone get Find My iPhone up on this old man's laptop.
Find his iPad,
and click
man.
Find. Please. Please, somebody.
Oh, my goodness.
My wife said that she was only trying to keep the peace instead of being right. No. Once my father-in-law badmouthed me around our daughter and my wife never spoke up. She claimed she didn't hear him. I don't believe she would have done anything either way. Our daughter kept me afloat. I put my foot down on her attending gatherings after the badmouthing. My wife accused me of escalating by withholding our daughter. I felt my father-in-law tried to influence my child against me. My move was for boundaries. Yes, I wasn't asking my wife to cut off her dad. I know how important family is to her, but we're married. We have a child. We made vows. I only wanted her to be there for me as my partner and best friend. She abandoned me. I had more support from my mother-in-law and sister-in-law, 35 female, than I ever did from her. We fought a lot. We pushed to a new level of argument. I held everything in and we'd blow up. My wife said she dealt with her dad her whole life and she learned sometimes it was better to just yield. But about a month ago, My name was cleared.
We finally found the iPad?
We have Scooby-Dooed the situation.
They were like, my name was cleared. The iPad was in their closet the whole time.
Are we ready for the grand
I'm ready,
reveal? Okay.
please.
My sister-in-law found the iPad in her son's 9-male's room.
Thief! Burn the son. Are we going to smear the son and take away all of his job opportunities?
He's going up for hall monitor, but they're like, we just saw a social media post that said you're an iPad thief.
Ay, ay, ay.
Not today.
Your career is done. You're never going to get anywhere in this town, 9-year-old.
Golly. But he's got an iPad.
Yeah, you'll be working with Jimmy at the grocery store for the rest of your life.
Growing a sweet mustache.
Yeah.
He confessed to taking it. He was afraid to say anything after my father-in-law's reaction to me. My father-in-law has never apologized or publicly recanted. He acts like nothing happened, and the rest of the family followed suit. He had my mother-in-law relay that I was welcome to their home again. Others began inviting me to functions, and I've declined for myself and my daughter. I'm not holding grudges or using my daughter as a punishment. I saw who my father was clearly. I don't want any involvement with him unless necessary, nor is my daughter allowed to have unsupervised visits with him. I don't want her exposed to the ugliness. The situation remains a sore on my marriage. My wife won't talk about it. If I try, she says I'm throwing the past in her face. I'm just trying to open up to her about how everything still affects me. She feels I'm not working towards keeping the peace. My father-in-law falsely accused me of theft, led a smear campaign, badmouthed me around our daughter, and was enabled by some family. This is me keeping the peace. I mean, the levels of not crossing any lines that Opie has done is insane. Opie is truly just saying like, hey, I didn't steal the iPad. I don't want to grovel at your feet like a gesture.
I'm not going to apologize or do any, like, it's over.
Yeah.
Your son stole it. Just apologize to me and move on.
Is this divorce territory?
I think this is like a lot of therapy first.
Yes.
Because they got a kid.
Indeed.
And then if it's like, oh, we still can't get past, I don't know, your family trying to get between us and you're not going to ever stand up for me, then it's not going to work.
I feel it's like a useful tool for the wife to be able to, like, you know, in her favor. But like, what if any of this turns against her? You know, I feel like it would be very valuable for obviously their partnership and for her to, it's like, hey, do you see what's happening and like what your father-in-law is doing? And it's crazy.
It is crazy.
I don't know if this post is the right call. My wife wouldn't approve, but there's no talking to her about this in any real way. I'm lost. We've never been so disconnected. I'm in love with her. I wouldn't have stayed if I wasn't. I want to work on our marriage and do right by our daughter. I don't regret my choice on my father-in-law, but I am questioning if I'm making things worse. I feel alone and I need a fresh perspective. How do I move forward as healthily as possible for my marriage when I don't know where to step? What's the answer, Sophia?
I think it's still therapy first. And then if that is still not working, then we consider other options. And maybe one of those is divorce.
There it is, ladies and gentlemen.
There it is.
But maybe these relevant commenters won't agree, okay? Because we got some relevant comments for you. But Peter the Great says, this problem is much more simple than you think. You think you're fighting a battle against your father-in-law and can somehow magically win him over and everything will be okay. Your father-in-law is actually an a-hole, but the real problem is that your wife is actually a crappy partner. Quote unquote, keeping the peace is just code for I want you to be the target so I'm not inconvenienced by the conflict. Your marriage is not healthy because your wife is not on your side. She stated quite clearly that she'll go along with her father. You can't change that. You can decide if you want your life to be like this forever. Princess Shira says, same, this is a wife problem. I'm very sorry for what you're going through with the situation. It sounds horrible. An invalid programmer says, this is also a mother problem. She let this affect her daughter. Opie, do you really want your daughter to learn that your father-in-law or wife's behavior is correct? You need to set a hard boundary. Your wife needs therapy and to set boundaries with her dad or cut him off. What happens if your father-in-law accuses your daughter of something? Just go along and don't rock the boat. Or what if he accuses you of something again? This isn't about you working on the marriage. Your wife needs to. But I mean, I feel like that's,
The problem is in part the family.
Yes.
But it is also, the root of it is that your wife isn't standing up for you.
In a way, it's like not that Opie is the problem, but he kind of bears responsibility of working together.
I mean, like in every relationship, if someone is doing something that you don't like or not, you know, fulfilling their end of or their side of the relationship, then you can either, you know, leave them or try and make it work.
Yes.
And if OP wants to try and make it work, then he has to come and like actively participate in the fixing process.
100%. EJ1004 says, I'm going to be honest. You are fighting for a relationship with a woman who doesn't care about you. I know it will hurt, but it's in your own best interest to two-card her here. Counseling or divorce. I guess that's a thing.
Seems a little ultimatum-y.
Two options. Yeah, right. You can find a situation she doesn't care to solve by yourself, and you can't stay in a relationship where your wife is fine with her family demeaning and excluding you without apology. Wife, things haven't been good for a while now. You've chosen your family over your family unit. You did nothing to defend me against your family, and you want me, the wronged party, to forgive and forget when an apology was never even offered. I'm willing to fight for our relationship, but I'm not willing to rug sweep anything. Let's be honest, your father has never liked me, and if a situation like this happens again, as our marriage currently stands, we won't make it through. I would have never let my own family sit there and treat you this way that your family has treated me. I would have never allowed them access to our child while they were talking about you behind their back. The past few months have been difficult. I've been fighting a battle with your family as you did nothing to support me during that time. And your ask that I take hits I didn't earn or deserve to keep the family's peace demonstrated how little you care for me. I'm not apologizing to your family as I did nothing wrong. And if they want a rug sweep, I'm perfectly fine not having a relationship with them. As for our relationship, I've talked to a divorce attorney and a marriage counselor. Think it over twice and decide which path you want to take, because I want a partner in life, and your actions these past few months have shown me that I don't have one.
Dang, was that a commenter?
Yes. That was like they just wrote a whole monologue.
They're like, here, read this script.
Yeah.
Go.
Yeah. I mean, to your point you just made, I'm like, I feel like you don't have to be like, there are two paths. It is either this. It's like, hey, do you want marriage counseling? And then they're like, no, that's da da da. And you're like, here's what I feel. And they're like, oh, no. It's like, okay, then you have your answer.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, then it's like, okay, well, I feel like the relationship isn't working the way that it's going right now.
Yeah.
And either we fix it or we don't do anything, and it probably will go down this path.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
That's it. Doesn't have to be an ultimatum, ladies and gentlemen. And we have an update. I, 27 male, want to thank everyone for the support. I appreciate it. The original post was the first time I put everything out there, and I didn't feel dismissed. The situation with my father-in-law, 59 male, was extensive and largely unaddressed by my wife, 29 female. It occurred to me that not being able to open up to her, I didn't know how to communicate with her anymore. The feedback I received was a real eye-opener. My issue isn't isolated to my father-in-law. This isn't solely a spat with my in-laws. It's an issue involving my wife. Things with my father-in-law are what they are. I'm not seeking a deeper connection with him. We're in-laws, nothing more, nothing less. And he made it abundantly clear in his smear campaign that I wasn't family, but a hurdle the family needed to overcome.
And I'm also being reminded of the ages. There might be some kind of thoughts that the father had because they have a 4-year-old daughter. So he was probably like 23 at the time when they got together, and she was 25, and then they have a kid. So he might have had some thoughts about how young they were, and like that might have changed how he saw OP as well.
Yeah. It kind of sounds like he's like, oh, my daughter deserves the best. So if she's shacking up and having a baby with a 23-year-old guy, it's like, okay, yeah, I'm not like,
oh, he
Mr.
probably
McRich.
doesn't have a job. Yeah.
My concern is my wife and our daughter, 4 female. They're my family. They're my focus. That said, I realize I can't make my wife do anything. I can't make her communicate with me. I can't make her instill boundaries with her dad. I only have a say for myself and our daughter. I know something needs to change. Our marriage can't be sustained this way. It's not good for anyone, especially our daughter. After getting my feelings out, I felt more resolved with what I needed to do. I told my wife about the original post. She's seen it and some comments. She wasn't thrilled, but to her credit, she didn't automatically shut me down like usual. She was open to hearing what I had to say. I don't know if ultimatum is the right term because I wasn't trying to force her to choose anything. I'm just trying to implement boundaries for our daughter and our marriage. I told her that things needed to change because our marriage couldn't survive like this. No one should feel alone or abandon their marriage. The options were either couples therapy or separation. She didn't take the separation well. She seemed repulsed by it. She said she knew we weren't in a good place, but she didn't realize that's where I was at and how we made vows and our bond is supposed to withstand.
But that's like the whole point. That's the whole point.
The whole
you
thing.
made vows.
Yes.
And you're not upholding them.
Yeah.
That's the problem.
Like, don't you think it's like, hey, maybe I should try to be the best partner I can? That's really all it is. It's like, just try to be the best partner you can. And it's like, hey, you're not doing that.
You ain't doing that.
Come on. She feels her dad shouldn't take away from us. I told her I wasn't taking separation lightly. Our vows do mean something, but whether she admits it or not, she checked out on our vows in favor of her dad. It wasn't keeping the peace. It was me drowning while she was on her dad's boat and never tossed me a line. What a powerful metaphor. Our issues are bigger than just her dad. Our current way isn't. My wife chose therapy. We found a therapist and it's officially scheduled. I want to be hopeful, but that's not something I've let myself feel for a bit now. I don't believe she was only telling me what she thought I wanted to hear. I saw the reality of it hit her when separation was put on the table. I asked her if MC was something she really wanted. Marriage counseling. I asked,
do you really want to be an MC?
do you really want to throw down? I'm not talking about the sometimes it's better to yield thing she said about her dad or for keeping the peace. I was asking what she genuinely wanted. She said it was, and that she doesn't want to lose our relationship or our family. Some have questioned why I'd want to try working on my marriage. It's not about staying for our daughter. I want to make a real attempt for my family and see if things can be mended. I know there's more to my wife than just my father-in-law. I fell in love with her because of who she was as a person. When we met and got to know each other, it was away from her dad. I saw how caring she was for others, even if she didn't agree with her POV, how decent she was, how she had a weight off her shoulders with distance from her dad's shadow. My wife is the youngest of her siblings, and I would say my in-laws hold onto her more tightly. I didn't know how bad things were until I actually dealt with my father-in-law. It's why she chose long-distance school and didn't come home on breaks often. Her work moved us closer to home, and she was back into the fold fully. My father-in-law's smear campaign was our first major obstacle following that. I'm in love with my wife, but I'm not speaking out of blind love. Whether we're together or not, I want the best for her. Part of my hope for marriage counseling is that she regains sight of herself separate from what her dad sees, that boundaries for herself aren't crossing a line, and maybe we can recover together and come out better for it. I know we got married a little young. Trust me, we've heard our fair share from the skeptics, but I always was sure of my wife. Marriage wasn't something I took lightly. I didn't expect there to be nothing but clear skies, but we should want more from each other. Being there for each other and emotional intimacy are the bare minimum. We should be a team. Our family is the core before any relationship. And to me, our vows mean consciously choosing each other and committing to each other, even when it's hard. By the way,
What?
you know what is never hard, Sophia?
What?
Pulling out your phone and searching OK Storytime on Spotify, Apple, or iHeart. Sophia, I said it wasn't hard, so where's the phone? Where is it?
It's in the phone box.
It's in the phone box.
It's a little hard to go get.
If you had the passion that our amazing viewers had to find our podcast, it would happen. So check out the podcast. But any closing thoughts before we get into this
It
last
seems
part
like somewhat hopeful note to end on. It seems like she's at least more aware of the severity of the situation.
Yeah.
Because it seems like she was just like, I can not stand up for my partner and everything will be fine if I just toe the line between my partner and my family.
Yeah.
But it also seems like she has a history of not being able to stand up to her dad and tried to get away from that, but it came back.
Daddy's still home.
Yeah. So just having conversations with her about that and saying, you just act differently around your family. And I want you to be more like confident and more willing to stand up for yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I imagine, if she was staying away from home, it was like there was something about that behavior that,
she didn't
felt
like.
very, that she didn't like, which is totally, I mean, the stuff that this father-in-law has done is insane. Bad father-in-law. Bad. But we've got the conclusion to this saga. So I don't know what marriage counseling is going to bring. It'll be my first experience with therapy, and all I can do is take everything one step at a time and reaffirm boundaries for myself and daughter. I'm not withholding my daughter's punishment or holding grudges. I don't even want an apology from my father-in-law because I know it'll be empty. I'm just done giving him any more power. I'm protecting my daughter too.
Yeah.
To those who haven't experienced something like this, I hope you never will. And for those in a similar struggle, I hope for nothing but the best for you. You're not alone. Thank you for showing me that I'm not either. That's that.
That's that, man. That was nice.
Yeah, I think, I love seeing OP grow and basically be like, no, standing on his self-worth. Like,
yeah.
I don't deserve this.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's a really important aspect of relationships is standing up for yourself. Because if you can't stand up for yourself and you let everyone walk over you, it's not going to be a healthy relationship either.
That is exactly correct. And the wife seemed like she was beginning the crescent of getting there.
I agree.
It seems.
I agree. A little bit more receptive.
A little bit more. But there's no more of this story.
There's no more of this story. My mother-in-law wants us to enroll our child in her daycare, but it's way too far.
Insider trading.
My mother-in-law works for a private school, daycare, preschool through middle school, 20 miles from where we live. When I was pregnant, she requested that when it comes time to select preschools, she would like to be involved since she has experience in that area. I said sure. By the way, this comes from by preschool. And if you want to submit your own stories, go to the r/OKStorytime subreddit. So when our baby was about 3 months old, I began looking for part-time daycare so I could get back to work. And at the time, my mother-in-law approached us with an incredible offer from her own school for full-time care for a fraction of what most places charge, even for part-time, because she's an employee. But her school is far away, 40+ minute drive with morning, evening traffic, and I don't even really want to move. Relocating closer to this preschool would mean moving further from, or relocating altogether, my own office, and a little longer of a commute from my husband. It also means moving away from the same city where my parents live, and they've proven extremely reliable and enthusiastic babysitters. My husband is more on the fence because preschool is obscenely expensive, and he understandably wants to be able to save the money. Also, deep down, I think he is a little hesitant to tell his mother no, as sometimes she can be unpredictable in how she reacts when she doesn't get her way. Sometimes it's fine. Other times, it's not. Whenever the topic comes up, his mom does her darndest to sell it. She talks about what other preschools and daycares do that are wrong or dangerous, the teaching methods her school utilizes that are superior. She suggested I start working remotely near the school, out of a cafe, or even her house. I'm self-employed. She even offered to help by driving the baby home a couple times a week. But even when trying to look at this objectively, I still don't like it because regardless of who drives, I don't think such a long daily commute is actually good for a kid. And if we committed to the school, I'm concerned things might suddenly begin coming up that would result in me doing all the driving anyway. So at the time, baby was 3 months old. I gently insisted that what we needed wasn't technically a school environment. It was just care, and it was just part-time. I found an in-home daycare I liked in our city and signed up. We could definitely use the money we're paying for daycare, but we're getting what we expected out of it. I have time to work, it's close by, the care is good with small babies and engaging with children, etc. Mother-in-law did not make any fuss about the decision, but then again, she also wasn't invited to tour the daycare or anything like that with us either. So I wouldn't say she had much of a chance to make her views known about it. So this is all before the preschool's not even the thing yet, because baby's 3 months old. She's like, I mean, you should think ahead because, of course, you know, you want to make sure that you are living near a good preschool. Yeah. I think that's what a lot of parents do, to my knowledge. But any thoughts
Not
so
that
far?
you would know.
Not that I would know.
Or have any reason to prepare.
Not that I would know. You know, I've really been thinking a lot about preschool.
How does this keep happening?
Yeah. I mean, Easter did just happen. Immaculate Conception.
Oh, true.
I like to give her the benefit of the doubt and believe that she understood the first year is full of many challenges and we were doing our best. Now our baby is 1.5 years and I'm starting to feel it's time she enjoys a more educational and immersive experience, and I've started researching preschools. The most affordable ones are religious schools, and we are not religious. The ones advertising similar curriculums to mother-in-law's school, mother-in-law and husband more likely to approve, are sickeningly expensive. I finally narrowed it down to 2 places. One is unaffordable, but offers financial aid. Hopefully we would qualify for enough to attend. The other would be affordable, essentially what we're paying now, but is a church all faiths preschool, and I'm sure it would take more to convince my husband. None of this takes into account whether either of these places would even pass mother-in-law's pre-agreed inspection, and even at their best, neither could match the affordability of the opportunity at her preschool, which she won't let us forget, of course. Reddit, help me approach this situation with my husband and mother-in-law, who I agree to include back when I was pregnant. I have been sitting on this for a few months now, but haven't been able to work up the nerve to restart the conversation and open this can of worms all over again. Mother-in-law pushing hard to enroll our child with her school, commute be danged, even to the point of suggesting all of us relocate. Husband leaning toward whatever is the best value, commute be danged, and wishing for his mother's blessing on our decision regardless of what it is. I am bracing myself for what I expect may turn into a battle royale of me versus my mother-in-law, with husband stuck in the middle. I almost forgot to add, the last time mother-in-law brought up the topic of preschool was when I wasn't present. I think she may suspect that my mind is mostly made up, and convincing my husband when she's got him alone is her best shot, which is what has tipped me off that this is still a very sensitive subject that's dear to her. And there is an update, but any thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, just simply on the subject of like, you will not pick a place without my approval as a mother-in-law. It's like,
Yeah.
stop that.
I think you guys need to get on the same page as parents about how much you're going to let her boss you around.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, if you're already saying that your husband's kind of just going to acquiesce to whatever she wants to do, that's probably going to be a problem throughout your, parenting.
Yeah, like,
especially if this is your first kid, he might be a little bit more nervous and more likely to think that, oh, mom knows best. You
Sets a
got to
precedent.
talk that. Yeah.
Like if we set a precedent of like, oh, all of the, big decisions for our kid has to be run through and approved by mother-in-law, then it's like, okay, well now we've lost the ability to parent our child, kind of.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, if mother-in-law disagrees but we don't want to do it, well, what are we doing?
But there is an update.
Oh.
So let's get into it. When my husband, Mark, and I were pregnant with our daughter, Eve, my mother-in-law, Polly, made the specific request that she be involved in our selection of preschools when the time came for the sort of thing. Polly is an administrator for a reputable private school in her area, about 35 minutes from where Mark and I live. Oh, now we've gone down 5 minutes. And considers herself an expert in child development, daycare safety, quality academics, etc. From her point of view, this was how she could be most helpful. From mine, she was pushing her boundaries. When Eve was an infant and we began exploring childcare options in our area, not preschool, just straight childcare, Polly began pressuring Mark and I to enroll Eve in the daycare and preschool where she works, which we dismissed as it is simply too far of a drive from us. I was especially against it as I knew I would be the one doing 99% of all the chauffeuring, and I also do not believe in sitting in lots of traffic on a daily basis is beneficial to a toddler. She didn't let up, but we ended up sidestepping the issue temporarily by declaring that we just needed childcare and not a schooling environment since our daughter was still so young. And we instead put Eve in a local in-home daycare a couple days per week. Polly knew when the battle was lost and dropped the subject after that, mostly. Anyway, at the time of the original posting, Eve was 18 months old and I was ready to start looking at preschools, especially due to waiting lists. But I was reluctant to follow through with the promise I had initially made to Polly way back when I was pregnant, since it now seemed clear to me that Polly had an agenda all along. That is, to get her granddaughter enrolled in the preschool where she herself works. I also felt my husband Mark was unenthused about getting involved, which was not helpful at all. I really love reading solid updates, and I wanted to make sure mine was finalized before coming back. So first off, I read all the comments and did come to agree with most that I was letting my mother-in-law get too far into my head about her entitlement. I felt more reassured about putting my foot down regarding her role. I have learned a lot from this community. That said, when it comes to matters involving my mother-in-law, for my husband's sake, I try to keep things cordial, and I was not about to start any unnecessary drama over this, particularly since Polly is not as bad as some of the cases I've read about here and on Just No Mother-in-Law. So regardless of whatever action we took, I expected her to be civil as long as the boundaries be expressed were made very clear. I still have these expectations of her, to be honest. After reading the comments on my post, my confidence was bolstered and I began doing research on local preschools. I found a good time to sit down with Mark to present some brochures and discuss everything. He balked at first, but eventually it all came out. His chief concern above all else was simply the cost. He had never done any research into how much preschools really charge, and everything he knew was based on popular opinion. What? He's like, I don't know. I just didn't think it would come up with the kid. I thought we could just skip right into kindergarten. And she's like, did you know how much kindergarten costs? He's like, I don't know.
I thought this was the whole discussion thus far was all a part of this. And what? I am so confused.
Such as preschool being more expensive than college tuition, or what other people had told him about it, including his own mother, of course, who'd suggested that all preschools were so expensive, we wouldn't be able to afford any place but hers, thanks to her staff discount. She had suggested the same to me, but she comes off as more transparent to me than she does to Mark. All in all, Mark had come to believe that we would have no choice but to send Eve to his mother's preschool because everything else would be impossibly unaffordable for us. He didn't do any research. He was just like, well, my mom says so I simply must go with what Mama says.
My friend said that it's like expensive.
Mama said it is so expensive. I couldn't possibly afford it with my little man money.
I could never do it.
My little boy money. I just couldn't pay for the schooling.
I can't.
Do some research, man. Don't just listen to what other people tell you. Like, look up options. Near you, preferably. This is where I was able to open his eyes a little and show him that, in fact, we could be paying less than our current daycare rates at some of the schools due to their policies on age, potty training, in some cases financial aid, how many days per week enrolled, and other factors. Once he realized that there were actually some options out there that were affordable for us, he quickly became more receptive to talking about it and considering schools near us instead of only his mom's. So this was a step forward in regards to his involvement. He also admitted that he was indeed a little nervous to bring it up around her, since it's clearly a sensitive topic that is near and dear to her. So we agreed to not mention preschools in her presence until we came closer to crossing that bridge, which wouldn't be until our daughter was 2 anyway, possibly even older. 2 is the earliest age most preschools will accept kids. After that discussion, I, along with Eve, went and toured a number of the schools I found, and Mark was able to accompany us for a couple of them. We put Eve on the waiting list for a few that we liked the most in anticipation of enrollment openings when she was of age. I must confess, I was naively hoping for a mid-year enrollment shortly after Eve's 2nd birthday, so we would have only shelved the topic for about 6 months before moving forward, not really giving Polly the chance to bring it up again before it was just too late for her to say anything. But waiting lists for quality preschools are no joke, and by the time Eve turned 2, it was looking like the earliest we would be able to enroll her would actually be the fall semester, which was another 6-month wait after her birthday. Dang, these preschools are tough.
Yeah, I mean, I've heard by popular opinion that some of these schools that just have like crazy wait lists, but wow.
I feel like I'm always watching shows, movies and something where they're trying to get their kid into a preschool and they're like, oh, we just want the best preschool for our child, and whoever's working at the preschool is like, well, here at the Montessori baby school, we teach your children not only the ABCs but also how to write in MLA format.
Okay,
so
can we be honest? Like, let's just give the baby a rock. Like, babies,
give them a rock and see what they do.
Have you seen a baby with a spoon?
They love that stuff.
They love that.
That wouldn't have been so bad if Polly hadn't started pressing for information regarding our preschool plans right when Eve turned 2. Polly knew full well that waiting lists could be prohibitively lengthy, and she was genuinely curious whether we were taking any action yet in order to get Eve enrolled somewhere before age 3, which is the standard preschool age. Reddit, I was really, really hoping we could make it till enrollment before the issue resurfaced, but 6 months is a long time to deflect questions, especially since we see Polly once a month or so. About 4 weeks following Eve's 2nd birthday, Polly started bringing up preschool on the regular, literally every time we saw her. It drove me crazy. It was always the same, almost like a broken record. She would ask Mark about it. She never brought it up with me, and Mark would repeatedly brush the issue aside, telling her, oh, OP is still researching schools. Eve is on a bunch of waiting lists. We'll see who calls us first before we make a decision. He avoided mentioning that I had actually toured schools and made it sound as though we wouldn't be making any decisions, even though by then I was about 80 to 90% certain where Eve would end up. Predictably, Polly would sigh about it and express how much she wished Eve would attend her school, but that was about it. After a few months of this, Polly got the hint that she was getting nowhere pressuring Mark, and she already knew she had no chance of swaying me. It was clear Eve would not be attending her preschool. So she switched tactics and suddenly, surprisingly, became legitimately helpful. She told me that she could get us a tour and a discount at a school similar to hers, but near us. That sounded fine with me, so we set up a time to tour the place and meet Polly's friend, the director. Turns out the school is great, and the discount the director offered to us was significantly more generous than I anticipated, half off tuition. After all my research, I was well aware we wouldn't come across another deal like this. So we took it and signed Eve up for the soonest enrollment opening, which was this past summer. We thanked Polly for her help and sent the director an actual thank you card for her incredible generosity with the tuition. Honestly, I feel like we need to start making friends with preschool directors.
Honestly, yeah.
That's the move, apparently.
You know what?
If you know a preschool director, schmooze. Schmooze, man.
Here's the problem. Are you ready? What we really should have been doing was meeting the preschool directors as the babies in preschool. We should have been schmoozing them up, We should have found, like, when we were a baby and the preschool director was a baby, we should have known that they were going to become a preschool director. Is that what you're saying? That's not what I was saying, but that is truly so much better because we can incept them to say, okay, A, you're going to be a bit like a baby or a preschool director. And 2, you have to have my child. It is your literal life's goal to accept my child for free and give them everything.
Yeah. You go up to this other little kid. You're like, I'm a baby and you're a baby. Wouldn't it be fun if you hung out with babies forever? Polly feels as though she's been able to contribute and I don't have to spend hours driving Eve everywhere. Win-win. And you know what else is a win-win?
What?
Listening to full episodes of stories just like this. Just go to Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or iHeartRadio and search up Storytime. It's a win for you because you get entertainment, and it's a win for us because you watch us.
Yes.
But there's a little bit left to this story. Do you have any final thoughts?
I'm just like, we should have brought it up earlier. This is definite case and just like communicate early and often. Yeah. But mom, what are you doing? Why withhold this information? Just give your baby a spoon. That's all I got to say.
Sharks, spoons. Did we think about spoons? Sharks, I've come to pitch spoons to you. Not normal spoons, spoons for babies. Take it or leave it, sharks.
Take it or leave it.
But there is a little bit left to this story,
Ooh,
sharks.
I'll take that offer.
Ooh, so let's get into it. Polly is still pretty annoying. Anytime we mention how well Eve is doing in preschool, Polly puffs up and shamelessly, openly fishes for praise and credit in getting us in there. And to my chagrin, despite the matter seeming to be resolved, she still continues to remind us how inexpensive it would be if Eve attended preschool at her work, and as even grows so bold as to suggest we move closer to her. I swear this woman grows more and more insufferable every year since she became a grandmother. But rest assured, Reddit, so long as Mark values our marriage in the slightest, moving closer to Polly will never, ever happen. And there you have it. And that's the end of the story.